Spending less and getting more is a no-brainer. That's why serious landlords choose Inago. Forget the myth that free software means weak features. Inago delivers everything. Tenant screening, lease signing, rent collection, and more. For free. No fees, no contracts, just a full-featured, reliable platform trusted by thousands of landlords. Plus, their top-rated support team is always ready to help. Ready to streamline your property management and save money? Visit inago.com today. That's inago.com/podcast.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Zach, and I'm here with my co-host, Patrick.
Hi. Oh, shit.
Shake off the rust, baby. Shake off the rust. Oh, shit.
All right, let's try that again. Sorry, I'm ready.
All right. What's going on, everybody? I'm Zach, and I'm here with my co-host, Patrick.
What up?
We are your hosts for the Rent-ish podcast, a podcast that's kind of about rental properties and hosted by two guys that work in the real estate industry and sort of know what they're talking about.
But mostly don't.
That's right, Patrick. You nailed your catchphrase, which is why you're going to have fun hearing us talk to experts, learning with us, or just laughing about how little we know about this whole thing, you know?
Correct.
That you're nailing it. I just want to say I appreciate you as a co-host.
Thank you.
You're doing all the great things, saying all the lines. We got a good episode, Patrick.
I'm excited.
We're gonna talk about some real estate news, including flooding, what to do about that situation, and then we're gonna talk about a tenant horror story. So looking forward to seeing if you have any more narration for me down the pipeline. And then we're going to play some more real estate games with our real estate expert, Mary Ragano. She's going to be back on the podcast. So,
I love games.
Again, Rent-ish. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We appreciate everyone for hanging out and listening with us. Email questions@therentishpod.com if you'd like to ask me and Patrick a fun question about real estate or about not real estate, because we also like talking about anything else. Yeah. Under the sun. Patrick, it's been a minute. It's
definitely been a minute.
Yeah, not to break the fourth wall too much, but we took a little bit of a break during some busier times of the month, and now we're back so that we're recording for the first time in a little bit. I feel like we gotta
shake off the rust a little bit.
Do a little.
I have nailed the catchphrases though, so no concerns there.
I noticed you wrote them down on your hand. You're like, what up?
Can't spill my secrets.
Well, all right. What do you say we start diving into some of the real estate stuff for today?
I say to that, yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. I'm glad I have your approval. We're still working on segment titles, so please feel free to email questions.
Do we not have one for the?
Well, we kind of
Zach with the facts.
That was our producer who wrote that down. We can roll with that for now, though. Zach with the facts. Yeah, if you have a better idea, for the love of God, email us at the Rent-ish Pod. Flood-soaked homeowners face a costly choice: raise or raise. Now that's a double entendre.
I don't understand.
It's spelled differently. You see.
How is the other one spelled?
So raise, R-A-I-S-E.
Like raise.
Raise, R-A-Z.
R-A-Z-E?
Yeah.
I've never heard that word in my life. What does that?
Well, it's like you would raise something, so I think it means like ire or like burn.
Like a razor,
sure,
like that you use for your beard.
I would, yeah,
right,
sure, if that helps.
It's like the verb version of that. To raise.
I don't think to raise. Get Webster up in here. Where is it?
To destroy to the ground. I don't know if that's...
burn to the ground. Like you would raise a crop. That's what I've heard.
Or like you'd raise the hair on your chin to the ground.
Oh, so you're saying that etymology here,
I'm saying...
maybe that word morphed into razor when Gillette got on board.
I mean, I'm mostly saying that because I've never seen the word raise, but I have seen the word razor.
Okay.
So I could be
this
wrong.
has been Dictionary Pod with Zach Pat. No. We're here to talk about the news. We're here to talk about flooding and a recent New York Times article called "Flood-Soaked Homeowners Face a Costly Choice." Patrick, did you read the article?
I did not.
Par for the course.
Unfortunately, I kind of forgot about the article this time.
No, it's okay.
Next time I will, though.
It's okay because it looks like it wants me to log into the New York Times, which I'm not going to do because I don't pay for the New York Times.
Yeah.
But the article's here, and our producers have done a great job of bulleting it down for us to kind of discuss. So, flooding. As climate change fuels more frequent and severe floods, homeowners in flood-prone areas are being faced with difficult and expensive decisions. The options: raise their homes above flood levels or demolish and rebuild elsewhere. See, there's your raise and raise, right? Raise, raise, and then raise. See the subtle difference
get
in both of them, right? With rising flood insurance costs and mounting repair expenses, the debate over whether to raise or raise is intensifying across vulnerable communities. So,
we've really committed to this raise bit.
Raise or raise, yeah.
We're super
No, it's good.
deep into that.
I'm going to guarantee you it's not the last time it comes up. So there's still time. Okay, so I asked you when we were doing the planning for this, I was like, do you have any flood stories? I'm waiting for, I have one to share, but I'm not sure if right now is the right exact time. But I want you to start thinking in your old brain.
Okay, I'll think.
Flooding, rain, raising. Maybe tell a story about a raiser. Any running. All right, the growing threat of flooding. So here we go. From the article, I'm just kind of bullet some stuff out. Feel free to chime in if you want.
Okay.
Increasing flood events. In the past decade, flood events have surged by 50% in coastal and low-lying areas. Makes sense. Global warming, rising sea levels, the cost of recovery. On average, flood repairs cost homeowners $40,000 to $70,000 per incident, with repeated flooding driving expenses even higher.
Oh man, I didn't realize it was that expensive.
How would you like to pay $70,000 for a home repair for a flood?
I wouldn't like to nor be able to, so that sounds less than ideal.
Yeah,
I had no
trouble.
idea it was that expensive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hotspots. States like Florida, Louisiana, New Jersey are seeing the most significant impacts.
Huh.
Checks out there. You got some hurricane zones as well. Florida, Louisiana.
New Jersey's kind of surprising. I like Florida and Louisiana makes sense to me, but I didn't know New Jersey had a flooding problem.
I guess it does. You want to hear a New Jersey stat?
Yeah.
I got a Jersey stat.
Yeah.
A New Jersey neighborhood near the coast faced about 3 floods in 1 year, which forced several homeowners to consider home elevation. Do you know what home elevation is, Patrick?
I don't. What is home elevation?
Yeah, I guess. What would you guess? Don't read. Eyes
home elevation is it like a house on stilts situation? Is it like one of those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stilts.
You know what I mean, though.
I know. Yeah.
I've seen them. I think I saw them in South Carolina.
You see a lot of these in South Carolina, like beach houses along the coast, like places that put the hard pavement at the very, very bottom with then like the legs going up for the house, like to build the house on a platform, and then you have like a car garage underneath. So it's like people will park their cars, walk up the stairs to get into their house.
Yeah. Didn't know that these were in New Jersey though. And also, side note, 3 floods in 1 year in a single neighborhood. That's got to be really rough.
Really, really rough. Yeah. For the raise option, so the home elevation, you were basically right. Yeah. So homes are lifted about 6 to 10 feet on stilts or platforms, keeping them above future flood levels. So it's literally just taking the house. It's the Patrick meme from SpongeBob. Let's take Bikini Bottom
push
it somewhere else. You just raise the house up. Elevating a typical single-family home costs about $100,000 to $250,000. So that depends greatly on size and location. Not an easy renovation.
Yeah, but like, how do you do that? Do you just get like just something scoop up the house and then like it just doesn't make sense to me how that would even be.
It's like a car jack that you have in the back of your car, except it's a really big one that you use in the house. Yeah, you have to turn it. And
wow.
That's not true, by the way. Look up if you're living in a flood-prone area and you need to raise your house, RAISE.
Yes.
You call flood professional or someone that knows about water.
Not us.
Not us. No. Maybe we'll get Mary Ragano on here sometime to talk about flooding. Benefits. So protection. It reduces the flood risk significantly, and your insurance savings can lower food insurance premiums. Food insurance. Nope, that's flood. That says flood insurance. Don't forget to insure your food, everybody. Insurance savings can lower flood insurance premiums by up to 70%. Now, you might be asking, Patrick, what are the drawbacks here?
I was just about to add, yes.
It requires homeowners to relocate temporarily, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, if they were going to invest all this money into raising their actual house, you can't be in the house while it's being elevated into the sky. Although the image of that is quite funny. You're going to have to find some other kind of like situation for your temporary housing.
Right.
Also, aesthetic changes. I mean, it might sound silly, but literally it would be changing exactly what your house looked like. I mean, you bought this property. You might bought it because you love the way that it looked. You're attached to the way that it looks, and all of a sudden you've got this house on stilts. It's like, is that really what you want? I don't know. But again, the cost. So a Florida couple, here's an example from the article. They spent about $180,000 raising their waterfront home after 3 flood claims in 5 years. This may have changed their house, but it cut their insurance bill in half.
I guess that makes sense.
Last option, you might be asking, what about the raise option? And that's
like raise with a Z?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a Z for our British listeners.
What?
That's so stupid.
Rosette?
Zed.
What?
Zed. That's how British people say the letter Z. You didn't know this? In England.
Oh, we're getting a thumbs up from the producers. I apologize.
Zed. Yeah.
I did
it
not
was
know.
It was a stupid joke. The fact that I had to explain it was not.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like they're XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah, you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I was going to say weird, but that would be insensitive. It's interesting.
It is fascinating.
Yes.
Demolition, rebuilding, the raise option, and that's with a Z. So, you don't want to raise your house. You don't want to elevate it. What if you want to just knock it down, start over? You want to go Sims on it, right? You want to, when you select the house on Sims and you click the trash can icon.
Right.
Yeah. Rebuilding elsewhere. So some homeowners choose to demolish and relocate to less flood-prone areas. I almost said food-prone again. I got to be careful with the L's and the U's there because I almost said food-prone. Obviously, you want to live in a food-prone area.
Right.
Cost. Demolition can cost $20,000 to $30,000 with new construction ranging from $200K all the way up to $500K. So just like the other option, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit more expensive because you have to factor in the cost of demolition with the cost of new construction.
Right.
But it does benefit peace of mind. You avoid future flood threats altogether. Like if you want to just build a really great flood-prone house in a great area with a great foundation, peace of mind, right? Here's another one. Opportunity to build energy-efficient, climate-resilient homes. So maybe this is not your ideal situation if you own like a beautiful 18th century Tudor. It is a benefit though. More energy efficient and climate resilient homes. Modern homes are built with more knowledge of those situations and of the changing climates of the world. Challenges, emotional toll. The article does cite that leaving a long time home or neighborhood can definitely be difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure both of us, I'm not sure if this is the place where we want to do it because we're running long on this news story, but moving stories.
Yeah.
I'm sure we both have moving stories.
For sure.
And we'll have to tell eventually. Land acquisition, finding affordable land in a safer area isn't always easy. Makes sense. You got to do the whole property hunt thing. You got to find a location, find a better area. It's difficult, especially when a lot of other people are looking to do the same thing. So an example, again, from the New York Times article, a Louisiana family raised their home after Hurricane Ida, relocating inland to avoid further flood risks. So literally just demolish the house, move farther inland.
Right.
Difficult. I mean, I'm sure that they liked where their home was.
Yeah.
You got to move to a different area. And the last thing, we got to talk about money. Really quick. FEMA grants. So homeowners can apply for FEMA Hazard Mitigation Assistance, which is HMA. It grants to cover part of the cost of elevating homes. So you can actually get assistance in the elevation of a home if you live in one of those flood-prone areas. State programs, Texas Home Elevation Program. There's actually the THEP right there for you, the Texas Home Elevation Program.
THEP?
THEP.
Am I supposed to know that acronym from something?
Texas Home Elevation Program. THEP. I work for THEP. It offers grants and low-interest loans for flood mitigation. And then there's the New York Razing program, which provides up to $150,000 for homeowners in flood zones to elevate or rebuild. And some local governments offer buyout incentives as well for homeowners willing to abandon flood-prone properties, turning the land into wetlands or public parks to absorb future floods. Not sure about that one. We're going to leave this flood-prone property and just turn it into a park for kids. It's a water park. Was that insensitive?
Build a slide, call it a day.
Exactly.
What's your flood story?
So my flood story is that when I lived in an apartment in Oakley, in a neighborhood in Cincinnati, it was an old house that was renovated from like a single family, like way back in the day, to a 3-story apartment building. So first floor, 2-bedroom, tenants. Second floor was me, 2 bedrooms. And then the third floor was basically the attic, but it was converted from an attic into a studio. And one day I was traveling, I was out of town, and I was visiting a friend in Cleveland, and I had Ring cameras set up. I have Ring cameras in my house. I've always had little Ring cameras for when I'm out of town. I can set it so that I get motion alerts if anybody comes into the apartment or if there's anything going on. Randomly, I get a Ring notification at 2 a.m. on a night where we supposedly had heavy rain. Turned on the Ring notification just in time to get the footage of what had happened. Was the upstairs neighbor simultaneously with this heavy rainfall had left the bathtub or sink running, and it overflowed, and the bathroom was right above where my kitchen was. So, and my kitchen ceiling was just their floor's wood, and then ceiling tile. So I opened my Ring camera to see just a huge waterfall fall through the ceiling of this and all of the tile. It was these kind of tiles, those kind of tiles above us in the studio, and they were all just falling, and all the stuff, and you could see the gusts of rain too coming in. It was
man,
it was crazy.
That's bad.
So yeah, I had to call the landlord at the middle of the night. I'm like, there's something happening in the house. I was like, I can't. And so my landlord at the time was going to go over and see what was going on. He was able to stop the leak upstairs, thank God, or whatever was happening with the upstairs neighbor. This is also a tip for landlords out there. Make sure you have updated keys. He didn't, for some reason, have updated keys for the lock, so he couldn't get into my apartment until I came home from Cleveland, and I was out of town for the whole weekend. So by the time I got home, I just had to mentally prepare myself for opening up the front door and just being well, crap. And it was just kitchen tiles were all busted, all my stuff. I had art prints that were on the wall there that got all rain messed up from the water. It was terrible. So that flooding seeped into the living room on that, and not mine, it was this landlord's hardwood flooring. But the construction of the place, the faucet upstairs, water, it's not necessarily flooding from the ocean, so I can't really relate.
Razing your house wouldn't do anything because it's coming from above.
No, I could have lifted it as high as I could, but it would have still had the same problem. So, yeah, that's my flood story.
Wow.
To wrap up, as flooding becomes more frequent, flooding not like mine, homeowners are being forced to adapt or relocate. Whether razing or razing, the financial and emotional decisions are profound, but they are also a critical part of shaping how communities respond to climate change. Understanding the available options and incentives can help families make informed decisions about their future. And that's the news you need to know about. All right. Welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into a wild story about a landlord who got duped by someone who seemed too good to be true, and well, he was. It's a reminder that not everything is as it seems, especially in the world of real estate. So stick around, because after Patrick's story time, we're going to unpack the lessons here and explore how landlords and really anyone can avoid falling for a con like this. And now, the stage is set, and Patrick is about to read a story. Oof. Throat clear.
Appearances can be deceiving. Never has this adage.
That's a new one. Keep it in.
Good word there, producers. Never has this adage.
Adage.
What have I read?
Adage.
What's adage then?
Like an old adage. Yeah, adage is like a story. Yeah. I think adage is like a simile. For
all right. Well, that's word of the day then. Okay.
Yeah. Word of the day.
All right.
Raise adage.
We've had multiple words today. Okay. Woo. Take it back. Appearances can be deceiving. Never has this adage held more truth than in the story of a seemingly refined man whose polished demeanor masked a scheme as cunning as it was insidious. The tale begins with a landlord, a longtime member of the National Association of Independent Landlords, who prided himself on his ability to judge character. His apartments were meticulously maintained, and his tenants were carefully vetted. But even the most discerning eye can be blinded by the glitter of a well-spun illusion.
I love a good well-spun illusion. Vada Kedavra, Lumos Maxima. It's a Harry
What?
Potter joke. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Yeah, that went over my head. Nerd. One day, a man appeared at the landlord's office, a vision of sophistication. He wore tailored clothes that whispered affluence, and he arrived in a gleaming car that exuded understated luxury. His charm was effortless, his manners impeccable. And then there was his story, a poignant tale of heartbreak and urgency.
Oh, no.
I've just lost my wife, he began.
Patrick's going for the Oscar. Everybody.
That's not what I was
lost
expecting.
my wife.
Not funny, but that's not what I was expecting.
Spending less and getting more is a no-brainer. That's why serious landlords choose Inago. With features like tenant screening, lease signing, and rent collection, Inago gives you everything you need for free. No fees, no contracts, just powerful property management made simple. Visit inago.com/podcast to sign up. That's inago.com/podcast.
Okay. Getting the character here. I've just lost my wife, he began, his voice heavy with emotion, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. The landlord, a man of compassion, felt the man's pain. Empathy clouded his judgment, and he decided to expedite the process. A background check? Surely unnecessary for someone so polished, so grief-stricken.
So he didn't do a background check. He decided that it was not necessary for this polished, grief-struck man.
That is correct.
That's what happened.
Thanks for the recap. Time was of the essence, or so the man claimed. The lease was signed within days. For the first month, all seemed well. The man settled into the apartment, his presence as unassuming as his appearance was refined. Rent was paid promptly, but as the calendar turned to the next month, the landlord's faith in his new tenant began to falter. No payment came. Calls went unanswered.
Dun, dun, dun.
Concern gave way to alarm, and the landlord decided to investigate. What he discovered unraveled the fabric of the man's story. The tenant had filed for bankruptcy shortly before signing the lease. Legally, he was under no obligation to pay rent while his case was in bankruptcy court. 7 long months dragged on, with the man occupying the apartment rent-free. Yikes. Attempts to evict him were met with delays, red tape, and frustration. Each day, the landlord watched as his carefully curated property became a haven for someone who had no intention of honoring his obligations. As the pieces of the puzzle came together, a disturbing pattern emerged. The man was no victim of unfortunate circumstances. He was a practiced predator, a con man who had pulled the same scheme on other landlords across the city. He moved from one property to the next, leaving a trail of unpaid rent and exploited kindness. By the time the landlord regained possession of his apartment, the damage was done, not just to his finances, but to his trust in others. The con man, of course, had already moved on. His next target, none the wiser.
Terrifying.
Really...
Yeah. It's like a slasher movie. Yeah, they could make a horror movie out of this.
This story serves as a grim reminder. Appearances can deceive, and even the most polished facade can conceal the darkest of intentions. Always do your due diligence. Trust, but verify. For the world of real estate or life, some lessons are learned the hard way. So yeah, this is not just a landlord tenant screening story. It's, I guess, for anybody who's alive.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. All right, round of applause out there in the audience for Patrick. Great job. Great reading. You did great. You powered through it. I was hoping for more comedic voices from you, but saying my wife's dead, you know?
I tried my best with that
one. You really emoted on that line. That was your Oscar clip when they eventually nominate you. No.
Yeah.
Quite the story. Terrifying to think that it's that easy to scam someone.
Yeah, right.
It makes you second guess like everyone you've ever given like a pass before.
Right.
Like I've never been a landlord, but I've also like definitely been, I've lent money to friends or whatever, acquaintances, take someone for drop someone off at their car. It's like how quick someone could friggin' turn and just be like a total villain and wreck your apartment, wreck your life, like ruin 7 months of just like all of this crap that this dude had to go through. I mean, it's terrifying.
No, that's rough. Yeah.
Really, really terrifying. And I mean, like, I kind of made the yikes at it earlier in the story, but like, I'm sure one of the big morals of the story is the just opting to circumvent the typical process of, going through screening, checking your background, just a couple basic things to do that would have like maybe set off some red flags.
Yeah, right. I think more thorough tenant screening could have definitely made this whole situation be avoided to begin with. So yeah.
But it's hard too. I mean, like hearing it, I'd be susceptible. I'm a big baby. I was gonna say, it's like, someone tells me their sob story, I'm likely to believe it.
Yeah, no.
So
same.
it's like, you got to be more careful. But
right.
Have you ever been tricked or scammed by someone? Have you ever been scammed, Patrick?
I'm trying to think. Have you been scammed? Nothing major. Like if I've been
No, I've had credit card theft before. Like I've gone to like shopping at a mall and I swipe my card somewhere and then a few minutes later I got like an alert. Bartender at Mac's Pizza Pub in Clifton totally yanked my credit card and used it to buy some Nike
really?
stuff. Yeah, it ended up getting those. But that's like the closest I've ever gotten. I've never had someone like swindle me like, my name's Johnny Be Good, and I'm gonna sell you this Volkswagen or whatever, and I get it, and it's like squares for tires.
Yeah, I guess the closest I came was I had a charge on Amazon for like $100-something. Did not recognize, so I started freaking out. They had access to my Amazon account and my card and everything. So I went ahead and canceled my cards, changed my password to Amazon, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like all my cards on Amazon, I canceled because I got the charge on 2 credit cards on Amazon. And then I come to find out after I cancel everything, change everything, I realized that was my Amazon Prime subscription automatically renewing. And
so you played yourself.
I freaked out for no reason. Yeah. And then it was a whole like disaster getting everything.
That surprised me when you reached out to them that they weren't like, this is what this charge was.
Well, Amazon's impossible to reach out, but Capital One originally they flagged it. They originally flagged the transaction. Did you we did not recognize this charge or whatever? Like, did you make this? It was like $180, like whatever. How much the annual subscription is? I'm like, no, I definitely didn't buy anything on Amazon for that amount. So I'm freaking out.
It was a difference between like an Amazon charge because it was the subscription versus you were thinking like, it was a purchase on Amazon.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't even. The Amazon Prime didn't even. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought I was like mega scammed there, but then it ended up being me being an idiot. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got it. Do you think? I like this question. Do you think it's harder to trust people nowadays? How do you balance being cautious without being overly suspicious?
I'm definitely pretty trustworthy, I think. It's probably to a fault. I remember one time I got in trouble at my very first job in high school, which was JCPenney.
You worked at a JCPenney.
I worked at a JCPenney in the
What'd you do there? Retail?
Yeah, I worked. Correct. It is a retail store. But yeah, I was in the men's department. I folded clothes, emptied fitting rooms, asked customers if I could help them find anything today. One time I was talking to these customers and they're asking if we had any like more flannel in the back or something. I was like, yeah, come to the back. I took them back to the back warehouse room. I was like, here's everything we got because I didn't feel like taking one of everything out. And then after they left, my manager just came like, who are those people that you let into the back of the store? And I was like, oh, like they were just customers who want to see something. He's like, don't you ever do that again because if they get access to the back of the store, they can like steal and like all this stuff. So
I think that's a good example.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you trusted these people, you went into the situation, and then you learned from it, right?
Halfway through telling that story, I'm like, wait, why?
Why did I start?
What was the question?
JCPenney, JC Jeans. I should go buy some new jeans.
Yeah,
that's
right.
My brain broke down there. I don't know. I'm with you. I think it definitely seems like it's harder to trust people these days, but I think it's just paranoia from like social media and news, and I'm always just like, should I trust people? There's so much. We get such exposure to like all the bad things happening in the world. It's like hard to, you feel like a little bit of distrust these days. I don't know.
Maybe for like online. So like when I call somebody, like I call like my card company or like insurance or whatever, and then they ask for like my social security number or something. I'm like, what do you need that for? Are you some sort of scammer? But it's like, no, it's like the number that I called. You know what I mean? So like I feel like if I'm on the phone with somebody or somebody reaches out electronically, I'm probably very suspicious. Yeah. But if you're like a real life like human being in front of me, it's like, oh, they can't lie. I guess is how
it's physically impossible for this person to lie to me right now.
Yeah.
I feel that. Yeah, so we kind of talked about it earlier, but, with applications and screening and going through the normal processes of, not going around, not falling into this guy's trap. Were there any other things you can think of that the landlord could have done differently here?
I think just having a system and not deviating from it. It's like if you have a tenant screening process, you have a list of things that you do, like, and you got to make it consistent for everybody, right? Like, credit report, background check, references, call the references for the past residencies or whatever. Like, just having a system, and even if the person seems reliable, or even if the person's in a kind of a tough situation, it's important to like do your due diligence, not just take the person's word at face value, but actually like investigate for yourself. Yeah,
I'd just say like don't cut corners in anything, but like goes to say, and not to be pessimistic, but it's like you could follow all the right steps and something like this could still happen. Right. So it's just like knowing the risks, knowing those kind of things going into it is smart. Like having preventative measures like backed up, like a good lease contract. And we've talked about that many times at this point, but it's like make sure that you have like a pretty foolproof document that if something goes down, that you're protected, that you have like something to protect yourself down.
Right.
So
yeah, good point.
All right. Well, that's about all for the story time with Patty. Thank you for reading.
Is that the segment name? Story time with Patty?
No. We shouldn't be allowed to name any of these segments because every week they're different. Someone's got to email us in and give us a segment. Questions@therentishpod.com. Patrick, what do you say we swap from story time and play some games?
I love games.
Okay, here we go. We are back, and it's time for the fun and games segment, as we're calling it. Or if you have a better idea for the segment out there, fun and games. I don't know, something like that. Real estate terms and fun. Real estate fun.
Real estate fun.
Real fun. Real fun.
Real fun. Boom.
We nailed it. Okay, yeah, real estate terms and fun here. We have a special guest joining us on the show today is Mary Ragano. She's a senior marketing program manager at Inago. Mary, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from, what it is you do.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So like you said, I am a senior marketing program manager at Inago. I've been with Inago for just over a year now. But prior to that, I had, almost 15 years of experience working across tech companies and in sales and marketing organizations, and even at one point in that 10 to 15 years got my MBA from Chicago Booth. So lots of interesting work experience. But then in addition, about 5 years ago, I started investing in real estate on the side. I have properties in Chicago and in Cincinnati, and just have been kind of slowly working on building out that portfolio. And I'm learning a lot as I go, as many real estate investors would probably attest and say the same. And it's been a lot of fun, but also brought on many challenges.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear that someone as experienced as you still says that they're learning a lot, because Patrick and I here, we've got a long ways to go, I think, to catch up to you. So, Mary, do you want to introduce the specifically the game that we're going to be playing?
Yes. Are you guys familiar with the game Taboo?
I invented Taboo, Mary.
Okay. So when the producers told us, hey, we're going to play Taboo, my co-host Patrick said, and I quote, I'm the taboo expert. The taboo expert.
I said master, but
master,
yeah.
Sorry. My apologies.
Show some respect.
I'm familiar with Taboo. It's not a game I play all that often, but I've played it many times growing up.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to play real estate Taboo. So you guys, one of you have been given a term that you know about real estate, and you're going to try to get the other person to guess what that term is, but you can't use the certain words that are included, just like if you were playing regular Taboo. So any of those like very common words that make it easier to guess what the term is. So as long as you avoid those words, then you can do what you need to do in order to try to convey what this term is to the other.
Not a problem.
He's ready to roll. He's got
a lot of confidence
right now. He's got so much confidence. I think he said what? You can get me to guess it in 8 seconds?
8 seconds. Let's do 8 seconds.
Okay. It's going to be great radio. It's like, welcome to the game, and the game is over. Okay. All right. I'm ready to roll whenever you are, Patrick. Patrick's the question master. He's going to be asking me today.
Let me open the clue, and then we can go.
Opening the clue. There he goes.
All right. This word, I actually have no idea what it means in real estate terms. But
Oh, really?
yeah, I have no clue what the term means in real estate terms. But
Major.
the word, without using the taboo words, is the part of your body between your shoulder and your wrist.
Arm?
Yeah, that's the word.
What? Hold on a second.
Which I have no idea what it means in real estate
Is
terms.
the so what? The arm bone's connected to the hand bone? What are we doing here?
No,
It's just arm?
the term I was given, I will read you. It
Okay.
says real estate taboo, term arm, taboo words leg-handed boxing.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay,
well,
so
I
they
am
didn't. Okay, so you just got the. Okay, very cool.
Call me baffled and impressed because yes, you did not use any of the taboo words, but you got it in less than 8 seconds.
Well, duh.
So,
you think
all
I was
right.
lying to you?
I think we need some education here. Mary.
Yeah, I can
arm.
imagine. I'm sure you guys are both wondering what the heck does an arm have to do with real estate.
We are.
So arm is not actually the word. Arm is arm stands for adjustable rate mortgage. So ARM.
I would like to see you get that in 8 seconds. How about that,
That
Patrick?
makes so much more sense.
Okay, say it again. Say it again, Mary. What's it stand for?
The term is an adjustable rate mortgage.
Adjustable.
Or ARM, if you put all of those together. Adjustable rate mortgage.
I could
Yep.
never have gotten you to guess adjustable rate mortgage.
Well, I wish
Yeah,
I, could, like,
I
Man in
was
Black
wondering
wipe my
how
mind
you
so we
were
could
so
cry.
confident.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now that you know what the actual full term is, are you guys familiar with what an adjustable rate mortgage is?
Maybe actually.
Okay.
I'm just gonna use context clues to guess that it means the rate of your mortgage, like the rate that you pay for your mortgage, is adjustable.
Adjustable. I was waiting for you to say it.
I mean, that's correct.
Oh yeah, way to go.
It's
I
an
knew it.
overly, it's a very simplified definition for it, but yes, that is true.
Okay.
So an adjustable rate mortgage is going to be, so you can have a fixed rate mortgage, right? So you buy your house and you've got a 5% fixed rate mortgage on it, which means that for the life of that mortgage, let's say you signed a 30-year mortgage, for the life of it, you're going to pay 5% interest on it. A adjustable rate mortgage is a little bit more complex than that. So what it does is there's an initial period that's a fixed rate. So let's say you lock in 5% for that fixed rate portion. After that initial fixed rate portion is over, it's typically, 5 years, maybe 7, 10 years. These are kind of the general buckets that we typically see.
Okay.
After that period, it becomes adjustable. And what that means is that it can adjust based on market conditions. So you kind of put yourself up to the world of, however interest rates are fluctuating. So it could go down or it could go up. You don't really know until that period ends. So there, like I said, there's some complexity to it, and there's definitely a little bit less knowing of what's going to happen, whereas with a fixed rate mortgage you kind of know what your payments are going to look like in the life of the loan.
So it's riskier than a fixed rate mortgage, but so I have a question. Is
Sure.
when decide, because you get to choose whether you go with a fixed rate or adjustable rate mortgage, is that right? Like when you are first.
Yeah, as long as the bank offers it. So not
Okay.
every single, and not in every situation, and not every bank is going to offer it, but often there are options for you to do either fixed or adjustable rates.
When you're like purchasing a house and like getting the mortgage and all of that, is generally the strategy, if like you're buying or getting the mortgage in a rough time where like interest rates are really high, in that case you want to go with adjustable in hopes that it'll go down. And if interest rates are great, then you probably want to do a fixed rate. That way you have that interest rate over the course of the mortgage's lifetime. Is that kind of the basic strategy, or am I wrong on that?
No. That can be a strategy. So typically with an adjustable rate mortgage, you do get lower rates during that fixed period. So it's an incentive to want to go with that option over doing the fixed rate option. And like you said, if you're, like buying a house now or in the last like year or two and the rates have been kind of on the high end, an adjustable rate mortgage might be something that you want to consider, especially if you believe that the rates are going to eventually go down. Now, again, there's no guarantee. You could have it wrong. You could read the market wrong and the rates are only going to go up, and then, you know, your costs are going to go up in the long term. Another reason why people might look to do an adjustable rate mortgage is if you know you're only going to own the property for a short period of time, because then you get to capitalize on that lower fixed term rate in the short term and then potentially be selling or giving up ownership before you even hit the variable rates. So there can be different reasons for why you would use it, but it is definitely a riskier option than going with just the fixed rate mortgage where you know what you're going to get every month, every year, as far as the interest rates that you're going to be paying.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
Get
What?
it? It's interesting.
Oh my! You did not plan that, did you?
Yeah, no, I did not at all.
That was a good one, though.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, we learned a little bit today. That was a fun game. We're gonna play this again sometime and get a term that's not a body part, a real estate term that's not a body part.
I would be so screwed if I had the whole definition.
It was impressive. I was impressed.
Yeah, very impressed. Mary, thank you again for coming on the show. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that was such a fun game. That was a fun game, wasn't it, Patrick?
So fun.
Yeah. Thank you again, Mary Ragano, for being on the podcast and playing some real estate terminology games with us. It was a good time and a great episode. Patrick, thank you for being such a good co-host and thoroughly reading the scripts.
You're welcome.
Did we come to a decision? What's better, raise or raise?
I'm going with raise.
I'm also going with raise. Make sure to tune in next time for another episode of the Rentish podcast. I'm Zach, co-host Patrick. You can follow us on all the social feeds. If you're listening on Spotify or any of those normal podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to, drop us a like, give us a follow, turn on the notifications if you want to be notified when new episodes go online. And then you can also email the show, questions@therentishpod.com. Until next time, happy renting. See ya.
Happy renting.
Do we have a catch sign off?
Happy renting.
Happy renting.
No.
Go rent.
Go.
Bye. Bye. That's the catchphrase. The Rentish podcast. Bye. Bye. All right. Bye, everybody.
Hey, listeners. If managing property finances feels like a full-time job, it's time to check out Ledger.ai. Ledger.ai makes property accounting simple by automating your finances, tracking expenses, and keeping you organized all without the stress. It's like having an accounting pro in your corner so you can focus on growing your portfolio. Visit ledger.ai/podcast today and let them handle the heavy lifting. That's ledgre.ai/podcast.